Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, sports, music, fashion, events, and everything we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture. Hello, and welcome to another edition of The Culture. Today we have a special guest, College Hall of Famer, NFL quarterback, former NFL quarterback, Super Bowl champion, and sports talk host of Home Team in Hamilton. Good friend, good people, Joe Hamilton. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Roy. Thanks for having me, man. I'm telling you this, it's just great things about technology to where, you were able to reach out to me, and see what we're doing lately. And, I still had your contact and everything like that. So it's always good to sometimes you leave and you're out of mind, but out of sight, but you don't necessarily want to be out of mind. But one thing about our friendship, if anybody asks me how Roy is doing, because I know who you are, how you're going to keep it really, really positive, then I can say he's doing well. And now when I see you live through technology, I can see you doing well. You look good, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. So do you, man. So I wanted to talk to you a little just about sports, football, and just life, period. But let's start with COVID-19 and just the landscape of football. Do you think that we should have football? I mean, for me, as a fan, I'm ready to watch football. I know a lot of people want to watch football. I know, athletes who are ready to play. I'm sure coaches are ready to go. But do you think we should have football? And what does that look like if we do have football?
Yes, I think we should have football, and I'm not just talking right now, tomorrow or this weekend. I'm talking still following guidelines. I'm talking about doing everything as far as safety, safety precautions, getting people in place to where we can get tested, especially a temperature, whatever you need to do to make sure everybody is safe. And things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. We can't go into this and saying that once we start playing sports, nobody's going to get or contract the virus, the coronavirus. That would be, not prudent. Wouldn't be smart at all to be thinking about that. So I think they're going to have it. And I think we need to come to the conclusion that, everybody is going to have to make adjustments. Everybody is going to almost go into uncharted territory, and maybe that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe you don't know about it or what's next, but we have to trust somebody. Somebody went to school for a lot of years to come up with guidelines and tracking diseases and finding vaccines and knows what's safe. So I do think football is back. I do think college sports are back. However, at limited capacity when you're talking about in the stands.
Right. So if you were a coach right now, what do you tell your players? I mean, do you have, are there going to be fans there? How do you prepare your team? How do you prepare your players as well? What does that look like for players and as a coach?
Well, you're going to have to be in my opinion, the ones that's going to be successful, they're very transparent with their players, telling them exactly and everything they know. Not to, say you're a coach and you get inside information and you're telling your players, hey, just trust me, or I've been told. No. If you've been told, let them read and hear exactly what where you got it from, so they can feel comfortable and make their own decisions. And you tell players, really, when football is concerned, this is going to show who really, really loves the game. Really, really loves the game. And what I mean by that is, although I'm not seeing you every day, although I'm not checking in with you every day, I'm asking you to be responsible for academics as a grown man. And especially if you love the game of football, you shouldn't be eating donuts and, bad nutrition and not working out and letting your body go. If you really, really love football, you're going to have to meet me as a coach halfway. Show me your love for the game, and then I'll continue to coach you up and, bring you along to where I can instill some other things in you. But it shouldn't be that hard to motivate now. And what I'm looking forward to is that since we've been quarantined and had to stay in the house and social distancing, I think players are going to want to get out. Players are going to rejuvenated. They're a little bit more hungry than maybe where they took sports, and you and I as well, sports and family and other things that's important. Maybe we kind of took those little things for granted, and not just wake up call, but just this pandemic might get things headed in that type of direction.
Right. So let me ask you this. I've always thought and considered you a pioneer especially as a black quarterback. I mean, when we think about your stature, your height, and your athletic ability, why do you think that, especially when you start getting to that higher level, why do you think quarterbacks are still being asked to either transition into, a wide receiver, running back, defensive back? And then if that's, and was that asked of you when you actually got at that level?
Well, I must say this, Roy, it's getting much better. It's getting much better, and the ground roots of it is that it was trust, all about trust. The coordinators, the head coaches, and sometimes owners wanted quarterbacks to look a certain way: 6'5", 230, stand in the pocket, not get outside the pocket and not run the ball, leave that up for running backs. And then again, you also the notion early on, but we've dissolved most of that, is that black quarterbacks wouldn't be able to read the defenses. They wouldn't be able to diagnose coverages and things of that nature. But that is gone, Roy. I think that's absolutely gone in the tone of color of the skin, whether the black guys can do it or African American quarterbacks can do it now. And the reason why it's gone and gone emphatically in my eyesight is because we have shown and tell. It is about the trust. And when you see the Deshaun Watsons, the Russell Wilson, the Michael Vick before, the Randall Cunningham before, but right now, at an alarming rate, Lamar Jackson, even coming out with Jalen Hurts now, it's going to that direction to where I think the dinosaurs in the prototypical quarterback that we used to see and you and I grew up on, it's going to look like, now, whoa, African-American takeover. But but I tell you a unique perspective that I have now looking back on it. I wish I was not asked to change for wide receiver or anything. And when I went to the combine, I was so, fine focused and had something to prove that I am a quarterback and I can do it. This is the position I've been playing all my life. And then see how my career turned out. Roy, I probably would have caught some punts. I probably would have, maybe catch some passes and show my overall skills just for longevity in the National Football League. Now, when they ask Lamar Jackson to do it or Jalen Hurts, yeah, emphatically, I know why those guys say no. Don't even bring that up to me. I am a quarterback. But just me looking back on it of my longevity in the National Football League, the more you can do, the better.
Right. So do you think, if you were drafted today, do you think you would have went higher?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That was the change. That's where we're going. The game is going and was starting to trend and going when I was coming out to be able to get out of the pocket. They got this zone, the RPOs, the run pass option going on. They even have this design runs in the NFL going on now. And I can just, for somebody that doesn't even know the transition and what it used to look like, I would just say to them, the NFL now is looking somewhat like college. The college game and the college offense, especially when you look at the MVP and Lamar Jackson, that's what they're running. And even to some extent, the Kansas City Chiefs spread out 4 wides, let it rip. So, yes, I would have, even if not necessarily drafted, Roy, because everybody wants to get drafted high and things like that. But I would have had a better shot at playing quarterback in the NFL. No matter where I got drafted at, I think I would have given the ball to be able to show my skills quicker, or even just show them. Period.
Right. So with 2% of the league being African American, what do you? No. Let me back up and say this and ask it the right way. With 2% of the NFL of athletes turning professional, what do you tell that little boy or little girl or whoever wants to, aspire to be a professional athlete? What do you share with them, Joe?
Well, keep dreaming. Make sure you write that down on the refrigerator goal. Make sure you take a peek at that every single day, and enjoy what you do. And I would say early on growing up, and this is speaking to some parents and some, coaches as well, and I understand travel ball, Roy. I understand that you have to develop in some sports a year round. But I would make sure early on to tell them or to advise them to do more, try out more sports. The more you can do, the better. You don't know quite yet what you're going to be locked in. You might all of a sudden dream about being an All-American or a pro tennis player, and your skills translate to where you're a pro golfer. You might wanted to play basketball, and all of a sudden you love basketball as well, but it turns out that you're a better football player. Try those things out, and especially it gives you an advantage when you get in a scholarship, because scholarships are earned now. And the transition I see about scholarships now, Roy, is no longer whereas somebody is a plus and then the drop off is a B plus. No, you're dealing with valedictorian, all A pluses, highly skilled, 5-star athletes, all those type things. When you're dealing with that, then what's going to set you apart? What's going to give you that edge to where, if it's two quarterbacks come down to all we have is one spot, well, what's the difference here? And, I would say make sure you're well-rounded, believe in your dreams, and value people, and value contacts, and value resources, because it all end up, and even when you're going to college and you're choosing that, make sure you can get that. We like to call it a 40-year deal, or 40-year, assignment, because even when you go pro, what are you going to do with that degree and what you learned and the contacts you came in contact with, and the impact? I would actually, any young person, and I want them to give me an answer. Even if they give me 3 or 4 answer, I would like to ask, what do you want your impact to be? And that goes beyond sports, and the sports is, just galvanizes us all. So what do you want your impact to be?
Right. So, speaking of that, you talked a little bit about networking. How were you able to transition out, from football? I mean, especially, you played for a long time, and me being an athlete as well. I played basketball, since I was an infant and grew up and was able to play at a high level. But how did you transition out, from the NFL? But and on the second part of that question is, how do you, share that with another athlete on how to transition into the rest of the world and doing other things outside of their sport, or even like transition to, being doing sports talk and being able to talk about, football and all other things, sports as well.
Yeah, even going into it, Roy, I would tell somebody, like we spoke about briefly, or I spoke about a little earlier, as far as networking and your resources. You want to always, keep somebody in your phone, or keep a lot of people in your phone that you trust, that can give you good advice. And that's even while you're going through. I tell college kids all the time, when you see somebody that has a polo shirt on, it looks like a business person, introduce yourself, maybe get their card. It'll help you out later on to when things, finally settled, and transferring, or, kind of, easing off of being athlete or playing professional. My thing was call back on people who just went through it. What happens? And hopefully while you're going through it, now, Roy, you being an athlete, when you're an athlete, you don't necessarily, and that's why it's so good to have good mentors, you don't necessarily know that it's going to come to an end. Everybody around you they're telling you it's going to come to an end, but you believe you're going to play forever. So hopefully during that time, when you kind of knowing on the off season and downtime, you're preparing that. What do you like doing? What do you like doing? I firmly believe, the good Lord has put us here. We all have a destiny, and the destiny to me is, what can you do, or what do you love doing that you're not slapping the pillow when you wake up in the morning? You don't go to that place grudgingly or in a bad mood. You don't have a frown on your face because what you have to do as far as what we call work. So that's where I think your destiny is. So for former athletes, that's what I always used to tell them, and that's what was safe haven for me. Now you have the ability, providing that you already provided for your family and they're pretty set. You have the ability to get in there where your passion is, get where your destiny is, to where you can love and you can really give back at that point. And that's where I could find myself. I remember the prayer, Roy, just to the good Lord, what's next? What is all this about? Because you talk about the Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame, and you talk about some accolades and things like that. Come on, man. A lot of people played the game, man. Why me? So then I'm asking him, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to impact? Because I'm huge on service, and you can give back service in a lot of different ways. Time, money, effort. Suggestions, ideas. You can give back a lot of different ways. So I wanted to make sure I utilize what he put me on the earth to do, and put me in a place that I can just find a passion, find something that, I can do for a long time. And again, when I look back at it, I've helped others.
Right. So speaking of mentors, why does Tony Dungy mean? So what does it mean to you? And why is Tony Dungy why is he's still so relevant to the NFL?
Well, it means a lot to every man and every woman that, you can look at somebody else and you can trust them no matter when you see them, that they're going to be themselves, that they're authentic, they care, they're genuine. You're not going to see somebody on Tuesday and then on Thursday you wonder who you just met, and I have a, deep, just a spot for my heart for Coach Dungy, because he's really the only guy that gave me a chance in the National Football League. First drafted me with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then allowed me to continue a few more games with the Indianapolis Colts. And he saw the leadership. He saw that, I loved the game, and the guys loved being around me. And he took a chance, and he mentored me in a way that he lived his life. He mentored me in the way that he went about treating others. Not to say Coach Dungy and I spent time and time, lots of hours in his office. And no, it's just in passing, maybe in stretching some of the things he said to the entire team. The way he approached the officials, never, ever, ever, ever yelling and screaming, always being, thinking about his character and having integrity. Just a huge guy of faith. And he trusted men. He never fined. This is, I guess, foreign talk to a lot of people now, that you got a head coach in the National Football League that did not believe in fining his players for being late and, missing meals and things like that on the road. So he was just, a man's man, a pro's pro, a man of God. And to this day, Coach Dungy and I have a relationship just because of the bond and the way he go about doing things.
So speaking of your former team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Does he make them better?
Yes.
And do they go to the Super Bowl?
Now, since going to the Super Bowl, they have a chance. On paper, they're one of the favorites to get there. And I like to, modify it a little bit less than that, Roy, because the Super Bowl is not all luck, but a lot of things got to, fall into place. I like to go into it going into the season, and my predictions are they a playoff team? Because once you get in the dance, and sometimes, or more often than not, anything can happen. Guys run down your throat. You can't tackle somebody. Weather, turnovers. All those things come into play. But yes, he makes them better, and he's hungry. There's something about a sense of urgency. There's something about what you can bring to a team as far as credibility, and they're talented. And his work ethic is through the roof. So now, there are no off days. Whenever he can meet with Coach Arians, whenever he can meet with Coach Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, he is meeting. Whenever he can get those wide receivers to come and throw and talk through it, build chemistry, talk ball, find out some likes and dislikes. Yes, it has a lot of potential. And the reason why I wouldn't put all the way in the Super Bowl, Roy, that quick, because I look at the NFC. The NFC has got some really solid teams in the NFC, and to fight through that is going to be tough.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you something else. With 68% of the NFL being black or African American players, why is the Roony Rule important, and does it work?
It's absolutely very, very important. It's important because you want diversity. It's important because when you move like 2020 in the era we are in now, that we shouldn't be talking about somebody not getting a fair chance. And back in 2003, when Art Rooney designed this rule, it was exceptional, great intent. More African Americans getting the opportunities to get in front of somebody, to the show and tell, so to speak, because that's all we grew up wanting. Not privileged, knowing things are not fair, but all we would say is, let's get a chance. If we get that opportunity, then we can go ahead and then look at ourselves in the mirror and said, well, they picked somebody else. So that was big then. And then I thought we let it slip. And that's why it's coming back to the forefront now when you talk about there were 20 openers now this offseason, and only, 3 black coaches. The last 20, head coaching openings, only 3 black coaches. So it looked from the outside, and not only from the outside, from the proof that's in the pudding, we're taking a step backwards. So now in the implementation of the new, you must interview 2 head coaches, African American, and you must interview a position coach for the coordinator. That's excellent. Now, that was baloney earlier, and that was a little disrespect earlier this week now, Roy. It was a little bit of disrespect earlier when you're talking about, moving up in the draft and of the third round. If you hire an African-American quarterback, you try to incentivize this thing. And that's embarrassing. And that's embarrassing. And I'll say it's embarrassing, but on the flip side, we'll take it. You know what I mean? Because again, we're going back because the opportunity. We want the opportunity. Even though under those circumstances, you let us know that the only way we are coming in, the only way we are hired is because of this incentivized thing like that. Okay, yeah, that we don't want it that way, but okay. So I think the awareness, Coach. Roger Goodell knows it. He's embarrassed. Rich McKay, the former rules committee and president, Troy Vincent, up there, in the league office, they are embarrassed about this outcome because it doesn't look good at all. Right. And not only that, we are very, very qualified. And I'll say this point because I want to get this off my chest. And every time that Coach Andy Reid, every time that somebody is touched by Coach Andy Reid and they have a high-scoring offense and they're producing, they get hired. They get hired as a head coach. You're talking about Doug Peterson in Philadelphia. You're talking about Matt Nagy over there in Chicago. Anytime you even back to Brad Childress, when you touch Coach Andy Reid, man, you move up. And for the last 2 years, for Eric Bieniemy to have that title on him as offensive coordinator and putting up the numbers that they've been putting up, and what he's done with Patrick Mahomes. Now I know Andy Reid has something to do with it and all that, but I'm looking, and Eric Bieniemy is calling the plays. So when you look and see all those type of things like that, you say, hey man, what is it really? Is it what's really going on? We need to do better, man. We need to do better.
Yeah. And Bieniemy's done his time too.
Yes.
He's done his time. I mean, as a player. And then I think the other thing that I really looked at is, I mean, does it make a difference if you add another, we're going to add 2 more to the interview? Because if somebody gets a head coaching job, he's going to hire his own team.
Yes, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. And it doesn't for you and I right now. Let's be real, Roy. We must see it to believe it. Until those owners are going to really pull the trigger, we're going to always say, "Is this the same old just talk? Are y'all just checking boxes? You're just doing what you're told to do because it's a mandate." That's probably true, Roy. But again, I'll say it like this: even with that being said, and that's true, we are getting that interview. So we are getting that interview, and if you can maybe you knock it out the box. Maybe you impress somebody that when you move an owner to hire or a GM to hire you. And we also know about word of mouth that the GMs and the owners talk to the other 31 teams, and maybe doesn't have an intention to hire you, but you do such a good job. Now they spread the word and say, hey, you might want to grab this guy, or he's the next up and coming guy. And another thing that's added to this rule that I love. The Roony Rule that was passed is the fact that non-coordinators now can get interviewed, and because we as African American, we're in the wide receiving group. We're coaching DBs, we're coaching running backs. So now that who says you have to wait and to climb the ladder that way? I mean, maybe you're ready now, and there's just no room on that staff, and you've been taking great notes and having your game plan to where when my time comes, to interview for a head coach, I have myself in order, I have my ducks in a row. So we have a long ways to go, but anytime we get an opportunity, I like a chance to get an opportunity.
Yeah, shout out to Art Rooney, man, because that's just big to have foresight and then go back and hire a black coach who's been successful and has worked his way through the system as well. And so shout out to the Rooney family, man, because that was big. I mean, and coming on the heels of Cowher.
Yeah, yes, exactly right, Roy. And you can tell that it's just not chalk talk when you're dealing with the Rooneys. I mean, because it's action. It's genuine. They see it's a huge problem, and that's why it's back to the forefront now. Because the Rooney family, and anything they touch and they want to put their name to, they want it to be successful. Hey, let's revisit this thing. There's no way we kind of let things slip. If you look back at there's 32 head coaches in NFL, and only 3 are African Americans now. And this was back in 2003. What happened here? what happened, yeah, so, shout out to him, and shout out to, and another shout out is to when we get in there like a Coach Mike Tomlin, when you get in there, Super Bowl champion like Coach Dungy, you handle yourself with class, you handle yourself with integrity. You know they're watching us with a microscope anyway, so to be able to overcome that and continue to be a black man and true to yourself and not having any external deals going on off the field or off out of the building. That's excellent. We need to continue to do that because even with coaches are gonna get fired, and I'm not even sitting here saying that I wouldn't even want my favorite team to hire a black coach because he's black. You know what I mean? I want us to get past that. No, I want my team to hire the best candidate. So eventually we're gonna get to the point where whoever's coaching is whoever is the coach of teams, they are the best coaches.
Speaking of being true to themselves, did you watch The Last Dance?
Oh, absolutely. Stayed glued to it.
And we was glued to it as well. But what did you think about the documentary? Do you think Jordan made himself look like a villain when it was all said and done, or he just wanted to win that bad?
Both. He did absolutely want to win very, very bad, and he knew what it took to win, and he did whatever it took to win. And the villain part about it is, how you see it, and could it be a good villain to get end results? Is there more than one way to skin a cat? Absolutely. Could it be done different ways? Absolutely. And I was wondering what Michael Jordan really meant when he was saying before the documentary came out that some people are going to look at him a little differently. And I'm like, how can somebody look at you a little differently, Mike? We've seen you the high flying, can walk on water, never lost the champion, never lost the MVP finals, all those accolades that we give Mike, and I see why now. I see why now, and there are some things I disagree with Mike in the documentary, and but again, it's Mike's point of view. He is my favorite player. He's the best basketball player of all time, in my opinion. I love him to death. I mean, I really love watching this game and all he stands for. But again, just because Mike says it is not gold to me.
Right. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat real quick. I'm gonna ask you.
I love it. I love the hot seat.
And I want you to, tell me what you think and tell me why. Okay. So yes. First question is Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield?
Ooh, Kyler Murray, because I am able to expand my offense, be more creative, threaten the defense with the legs and the run game. And I think Kyler Murray is more accurate. I think he's a better leader. I think he's a better deep ball thrower. And he's a pure winner.
98 Bulls versus the 2017 Golden State Warriors.
And the 98 Bulls, because of some things that's going to get canceled out. And when you talk about not canceled out with Kevin Durant and then Scottie Pippen, but you have just a wash there because Scotty's going to D it up. Scotty's going to put a little pressure on Kevin Durant and go back and forth, or vice versa. I do not believe that the Bulls will have too much of an answer with Steph Curry. He's going to get his because that's just a mismatch for anybody out there like Steph plays. But it's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan and Klay Thompson. I don't think you're can expect Klay's 20 points a game that he averages because he's guarding Mike. We all know when you guard Mike, Mike doesn't let you do anything on the offensive side either. So Mike gonna wear you out, and Mike is gonna get his as well. And then you have a Draymond Green, and then you have a Dennis Rodman, same type people, and that's how I look at it. And I would also put Coach Phil Jackson as the defining piece as a better coach than Steve Kerr.
All right, Chick-fil-A or Popeye's chicken sandwich?
Oh, I put it to you like this, Roy. I put it to you like this: Popeye's chicken sandwich on Sunday.
I'm gonna ask you this last question.
And Chick-fil-A every other day of the week.
Oh man! So I'm gonna ask you this last question. You gotta be honest with me, Joe.
Okay.
Now, for those who are watching, Joe's wife was a great basketball player at Georgia Tech as well. So your wife, Kenya, in her prime, and you in your prime, who wins one-on-one in basketball?
Hey, it's a really, really close game, Roy. But I would take her. I would take her. I would take her. And what's good about that? We've been asked that question, at dinners. We've been asked that question at get-togethers, and her competitiveness comes out. She reeks of competitiveness, and she acknowledges me by a little bit, but she has to give that to because she know I'm going to go all out because she's going to go all out, and our kids is trying to go after that same type of mantra as far as maxing out and everything you do. So I'll get her slightly. That's only because I'm a little better shooter, and at this age you don't have to move around as much.
Well, Joe, I mean, but I'm a to you, man. I do appreciate. I mean, you give all out just not only just as an athlete, and I got a chance to, and my first is, when I first met you too, we talked about this, but what you give as a person, man, just means so much. I know to your, Georgia Tech, but to the world, but also to me. And that's even more so why, we wanted you to come on to the culture. Share with us where, we can tune in to listen, but also how people can reach out to you as well.
Yeah, you can reach out to me either Instagram, Johan14, or on Twitter at Johan14. You can catch me home team in Hamilton Monday through Friday, 9 to noon on the Sports X. You can actually download that app, Android or iPhone. Carry us wherever you go. You can listen to the replay if you want to as well. 12:30 a.m., 106.3 FM. And I tell you, Roy, what you and I just did is what we do every day on the show, every morning. We talk about the hot topics. We entertain. We stay away from politics, but we try to, get the, the headline news and laugh a little bit. It's always good to laugh. And I tell you, man, I'm in a good spot. And when I said to you earlier that, I asked the good Lord, what's next? Man, he just, landed this in my lap and he said, "Hey, how do you like this, my son?" I said, "Well, this is pretty nice. This is pretty nice." And that's during a time where I have a good slot where I can take the kids when they were going to school and not quarantine, take them in the morning, drop them off, go to work, do what I have to do, and then go in carpool again and pick them up. They had to do something after practice or gymnastics or football or what have you. I'm there for it. You're not missing games. So I'm in a good spot, Roy. I'm in a good spot, man. I'm thankful, grateful, and thank you. Goodness,
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing, your insight. Say hello to your lovely wife for me as well. Just your insight and, your impact. We all have an impact and, going and, let the good Lord lead you. I really appreciate that. And, man, as always, if I can do anything, man, anything for you, man, I'm a call away. And, big ups, brother.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you coming on the culture. God bless. Tell the wife we say hello as well.
Sure will, Roy. Take care.
Take care.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rock Star Media and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent by Jessica Garrett Modkins. All rights reserved 2020.